Hello everyone. My name is Christian Szandor Knapp. I'm a lead Salesforce developer with Apero, ISV in Munich. I'm also Salesforce MVP. And this talk today is an invitation to explore continuous integration concepts for the Lightning platform and from the perspective of the Lightning platform. My goal is to enable you after this session to go out and look for the CI tool that fits your needs. When I say from a Lightning platform perspective, I mean that I tried to use as little additional tech stack as possible. So I don't know Java, I don't know Python, I know Salesforce, and I know Salesforce DX, and that's as much technical stack I wanted to use. Last but not least, this talk has two parts, an on-site part and the part for you at home, because I brought a GitHub repo for you. We'll not go through every line of the setup. We'll have the repo for you. You take it home, you can study it, you can ask me any question, anytime, on how I did it. You will see that the repo gives you insight into several ways on, for example, how to authenticate against Salesforce. There's one way with Trailhead, using a connected app, but there are different other ways, and you will see that in the repo as well. So let's get started. The talk has mainly 4 parts. We will start with why CI. What are the benefits of continuous integration? I'll keep that short. I assume everybody is already on pair and loves continuous integration, am I right? Yeah? No? Okay, you will after this talk, no worries. So the second part is prerequisites. What do I need to do to get everything running? Then I will introduce you to the tool of my choice, CircleCI. Why CircleCI, not Jenkins or Bumblebee, and so on? Well, that was approachable to me. I understood it quite easily. And then we'll have a section deep diving into the configuration. And then we have also time for a few questions. All good? Great. So let's have a look where we are. Yeah, you plan your feature, you plan your code, and then you start building. And this talk will focus on the areas down here. So build, test, and release. And one of the greatest challenges with apps and Salesforce is not so much building something in your org, but rather to get it into a different org. And from there, again, into a different org. And a different org, because we have governance cycles that we need to keep in check. Great. So where does continuous integration fit in, and what are the benefits of continuous integration? Well, first of all, let's be completely frank, change sets are evil. They consist of manual work, they are error-prone, they are time-consuming. How do you repeat it ever again? Of course, there are tools that let you clone things and change sets, but that's not really the thing. Well, and we are trying to adapt an agile mindset, and that just works better with CI. We try to get shorter feedback cycles with CI, because as soon as a developer pushes her code into a repo, the feature build runs and tells her exactly if that composition of metadata will deploy to any other org. And then use the new feature is completely useless if you can't move it to anywhere else, right? So another fundamental is that each feature needs to, from scratch, to detect errors early. If you've been to the other testing talk, you see the earlier you detect errors, the less money it costs, and that's the short version of continuous integration. Time is money, so let's try to get things quicker. So why did I use CircleCI 2.0? Well, as I said, I'm a platform-only person. I'm not a DevOps hero. I found some Salesforce-related tutorials for CircleCI 1.0. And CircleCI 2.0 helped me to wrap my head around parallelism, which is an important concept in continuous integration, meaning that you can try to fan out certain steps to run in parallel, by that saving time. And then in the end of the day, I will show you that the script and the repo will do exactly that. It will get all the tests from your org, it will split it in two, push it to 2 different scratch orgs, and run them in parallel. So testing time cut in half. Right. Another reason for CircleCI is it is free for open source projects. You got 4 containers, means 4 parallel steps, and that's a good thing to start exploring the concepts. Also, even if you are a business user, you get at the moment, I believe, 103 build hours, even so, right? Great. And let's talk a little bit about prerequisites, about things that I will not talk about today. First of all, version control system, right? You need to have some repo and you need to have some basic Git knowledge, full stop, right? You also need to have some kind of branch strategy. Anyone familiar what I mean by branch strategy, right? Great, awesome, good. That means for today's purposes we will use feature and master, and that's about it. Think about master as the production org, the packaging org, your ultimate goal, basically, and feature as something newly built. We will be using DX today only as a CLI tool. I will not go into the paradigm of how DX changes things. I just use it to move metadata and authenticate and do nothing else. We're not concerned with the DX source in this talk. We will tomorrow develop control packages, but we don't today. So that's why I'm skipping this part. We will still deploy the happy soup. So this is important for my talk. There's the happy soup I need to deal with. And as I said, the X format isn't very necessary. All good so far? Am I talking too fast, too slow? All good? Great, thank you. So the idea behind the stuff is the following. You have a pull request on master. We can quickly zoom out and have a look on that. See, that's a general pull request. Is not everyone familiar with a pull request? Okay, so I've done my code review. Everything is great. I can simply push the merge button. And what should happen over here is, okay, I'm doing the live part, obviously, that in a few seconds there should be, this is the CircleCI UI, obviously, as you see there's not enough connectivity, so I'll switch back to the slide and give you a little rundown of what's happening here. Just a moment, please. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh. I'm so sorry. There we go. Right. So what happens is basically this. There are several jobs running sequentially in this case. The one deals with setting DX up. The other one is dealing with converting metadata. So you will find in the repo a lot of best practices I would recommend, like, well, we can't get rid of profiles on deployments usually because we want to assign layouts and do all the kind of stuff that isn't possible with permission sets. But at the same time, I never deploy profiles with user permissions. So the script here takes care of that. It removes all user permissions from a profile, but keeps all other settings, FLS, objects, tabs, layouts, and so on. So I'm not spoiling my production work. Then we do a simple check deploy with running all tests. And the last part is a quick deploy. Tests have run in our production work. They're not necessary anymore. By a check only, I make sure that I don't destroy my packaging org, my production org, and so on. And if I'm happy, then there is the master deploy. Right? If anything should fail, CircleCI would flag it red and tell me, look, your job failed. Great. That's the thing, when a feature is done. But we will get in the second demo to the part where a feature is being currently built. Here you can't save time test-wise, because you need to run all the tests in the target org, full stop. You can use that for feature builds, that's possible, but not for your ultimate master. Right, so CircleCI basics. Why CircleCI? Setup, workflows, jobs, steps, and gotchas. I'll quickly swap over here just to show you the UI of CircleCI. You just need to hit that button, sign up, and enter your GitHub credentials. Everything will be done for you, and the rest is part of my talk. So, as I said, go to circleci.com, follow the repo you want to build from, add the necessary settings and environment variables. Any guess how many settings and variables I need? More than 10, below than 10? Who thinks I need more than 10? Hands up. Nobody? Great, I need only 5. That's all I need for this whole thing to run. Right, so these are the settings you need. I think there are 5. Yeah, you need the EX consumer key, the EX user, production, and so on. You could get rid of that one, for example, because that one is the one using a connected app to authenticate, which isn't a prerequisite at all. You'll find all the things explained in the record, all good there. So this is a basic concept of how CircleCI does that thing. You have one single master control file, so to say, that's in the folder .circleci, and then it's a YAML file, and it basically consists of 3 parts: workflows, jobs, and steps. Why is those two both and this isn't? Because I found no way to use several workflows for a Salesforce project. It all resides in one workflow, but you have jobs and steps. To go through there, you have a workflow called build and test. And build and test has 2 jobs, build and test, and the jobs are defined up here. And run means run any dash command. Checkout means check out your Git source. Done. So, unleashing the power of CI. As I said, parallelism is the key to really get benefits, and these jobs can run in parallel, right? CI is not only about documentation, CI is, as I explained earlier, also about parallelism.
Sorry, can I ask a question? So
yeah.
Build and test, how can you run them in parallel?
CircleCI will do that. If you write it just as you see it here, which is nonsensical, very, very attentive, thank you. It would be totally nonsensical to run those steps in parallel, but the config file is just an exemplary config file, right? So that's not how things work, because in that case, those 2 commands would indeed run in parallel, and that wouldn't work because you need to build something first and test after. But if you don't specify anything else, it just runs parallel if possible. So, you need a complete stack. By complete stack, I mean each container needs its own setup, so that means each container needs to have, for example, a DX installation and a DX authentication. And that should be ideally moved to every sub-step. And I've taken care for that for you as well. You'll find it in the repo as well. You don't have to deal with that at all. And a little work needs to be done. These are CircleCI specific things, but as I said, you can look into the repo and find that out. Any questions so far? Good. So, there were 2 dynamically distributed tests. So basically what we see here, jobs, build, test, and so on, is also visible over here. You see, those are basically all jobs in one those are jobs in one workflow, and this workflow has both aspects of feature build and a master build, all in one workflow. So if you look now on the second demo, you will see it looks slightly different because things run in parallel, right? They fan out, distribute tests, and after they run, they fan in in order to do final steps, whatever that is. Think what you want. You could send yourself an email, which you shouldn't do because CircleCI does that. You could start browser tests, for example, all the things that you would also do on a feature build. So let's go into a deep dive, meaning let's look how I build the configuration for CircleCI. I'll quickly have a look on the time. Right, great. So what we have here is the abbreviated form of the config file you can see at the GitHub repo. So here you have the question, Anand, you have how do I prevent parallelism? And that you do by declaring requirements. So this job, master deploy, has a requirement on master deploy check only. So it will only run if that one succeeds. And as I said before, when you act it, if there are no requirements precluding a job to run, it will run. So if there are two jobs, they will run in parallel. We have also filters. So basically, they say, please run only on the master branch, please run only on the feature branch. You can hard code the branch names, but you can also use regular expressions, for example. So this is an exemplary step, the finally step, which can look like this. So machine truth simply tells CircleCI that I want to run a simple native Ubuntu Linux. You could use Docker images, but as I said, I'm not a DevOps junkie. I have no clue about Docker. I can do a little bit of Bash, and Ubuntu 14.04 is the default for CircleCI. So you attach the workspace, that's where all the authentication magic happens, where things will be stored for you. And then you simply say run, and you give it a name, and you say a command, like dx install, and then you type in the bash command. Or you say delete all scratch orgs, the type says, okay, now we're using several commands, and then you go, okay, sfdx, whatever, delete, no prompt, true. So why the true? Because I want the exit code always to be true, so I don't care if they get actually deleted or not deleted, so the CircleCI process won't fail. Right, questions so far? Good. So, run tests in parallel. How do I do that? As I said, I'm using bash only. So the things that I use is bash, simple commands like move and copy. I'm using sed to deal with XML files, like removing user permissions. I use wget to download the DX installer. And then a very important part of the setup is JQ. Have you heard about JQ? No, it's a little bash tool that is used to parse JSON files. And it can do amazing things, including regular expressions and all that. And that's what I'm using because, as you might know, the X can output everything in a JSON format, so I just need to parse it. So imagine I upload a bench package, then I get a result JSON, I parse that JSON, I get the package ID, I store it in the workspace, and then the next step, or sorry, the next job will know what to run and how to run and where to get the package ID from. And JQ is used to actually go and, well, DX is used to query the test classes, and then JQ is used to distribute them half and half. And this works even if you have 35 tests, so one feature org would then run the first half, and the other one would run the other half -1. So all good. No tasks will ever run totally. Right. So this is the thing I just explained, right? So I will have a query from the socle. I say which scratch org it should run, and I can store the results, as you can see. And Salesforce DX usually has several options how to output tests, but don't sweat it because DX will always output all test formats, and CircleCI prefers JUnit, which DX also provides. So you will see a nice little comparison how well you tested, what the slowest test was, and so great. Store test results also pretty easy. For those, there are certain commands you put in the YAML file, and as I said, I'm also storing the sfdx log. Maybe something is wrong with the X or failed, so I want to know why, because usually you want to harden your CI process. So we've done at Apero by now 5,000 builds or more. We are a tiny team of less than 4 developers. So it takes refinement. So if you start, you will fail quite often until you know how your repo looks like, what metadata you're using, how the X behaves, and I tell you I've got nightmares because sometimes things fail, so I have to rewrite my script and rewrite my script. But the good news is you don't have to, because you will be able to look it up. Yeah, that's so far. If you like to, we have still some time. I was pretty fast, I believe. We can have a look at the repo now, if you want to look at the actual configuration, or we can just have a small Q&A. Thank you so much so far. Questions? If not, we'll go.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I saw your reaction on Salesforce Foundation continuous integration.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can just explain, because I saw you were very impressed, and I know that they are doing a wonderful job.
Yeah. So two answers to that. First of all, as I said, I didn't want to add, for this talk, I didn't want to add an additional tech stack. So kundo.CI, which is another tool I love, is built on Python. And everything you can extend there, you will need to do on a Python level. kundo.CI is very, very much extensible, but you need to know a little bit of Python. That's the one thing. But if you want to compare functionality, please do. kundo.CI is a great tool. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I probably maybe people don't know that Salesforce Foundation releases every 2 weeks to 20,000 orgs
Yes.
software every 2 weeks with this package.
And they have interdependent packages, and kundo.CI is a tool built by the Salesforce Foundation, a CI tool. They now have also Meta-CI, which is basically the replacement for CircleCI. In my case, so they hook up to your repo, they get the info, they start building, and yes, the cool thing about CircleCI is that you could mix it up actually. So you can use partly kundo.CI as a command line tool by simply adding Python as a dependency for your machine and run both. And there is where the fun really starts, in my opinion. Any more questions? Sure.
So is there a reason, well, I guess there is, what's the reason for using JQ to parse the test classes to run instead of migration tool and just run the tests? Is it like DX specific or?
Yeah, it's a little bit specific in the sense of, let's wait that it goes up and I'll show you the real config file over here. Takes longer than expected. Okay. So what JQ does is just parsing the output from the DX commands. That's its role in the whole repo. So, oh yeah, it takes really long. It's not that big of a file. So let's look for, test distributed one. So here you can see what JQ does. So this is the DX command.
Could it be a bit bigger?
Yeah, bigger, sure, no worries. Is it okay like that?
Yeah.
Great. So first of all, you see the socket query right here, and it just says select name from Apex class or name like test, order by name, and then you store that into a JSON file. I then open the JSON file using cat. There's probably better ways to do it. Look, I'm no bash dot either. So I just output that, and then I use JQ to get to the right part of the result file. I then tell JQ, look, I'm just interested in the half of this thing, and I join the output, and then I create another environment variable, a temporary one, that is used to actually run the test. So that's why I do JQ. Now to the second part, why not AND? This is one configuration file. One. How many do you need for AND? Doing a similar complex job. How much do you know about, how much do you need to know about AND? Here you just need to know DX and a little bit of bash. That's my take on it. We had the same discussion yesterday with Fabrice, thank you so much. And it was this, we were on different sides. Fabrice likes AND, he knows his way around. I don't, I need to learn it first. I know a little bit of DX, I know a little bit of bash, and CircleCI made it totally easy to get things up and running. So the job of CircleCI is just listen to your repo, do the steps I'm giving you. And with that, I wish you a pleasant dreamOlé. Thank you so much.